Good morning. Welcome. I'm so glad you've joined us today. You are on the Success Secrets for Business, Family, and Life channel. I'm Vickie Helm. This is the Coffee Break Show. So glad you're here. We go live Monday through Friday, and we share tips, tools, techniques, inspiration, motivation, and those things that are going to create thrivability in your life. This show is brought to you by the Metadime Digital Network. And today is an important day as we go along on the topic. We talked yesterday. If you haven't seen yesterday's show, hashtag replay, it's in there. It's in the group. But if we talked about yesterday about the number one skill that you're going to need for the future, and it really is the number one skill, and that is how to build influence and authority. If you want to have a business, if you want to get your message out, if you're an expert and you're tired of being the unknown experts, today we're going to break the shackles and we're going to go a little bit deeper and break the shackles of being the unknown expert. And now you're going to be the known expert. You're going to be the sought after expert. Let's talk about today on the Coffee Break Show. So today I want to say that we go live Monday through Friday. So in the next few episodes, we're going to be talking about this number one skill set that you need to have in order to do that. So do me a favor though, if you're new here, I see you coming on, put your name down below. I know it's been like the shopping week has started. Hi, y'all. Nice to see you, Karen. Nice to see you, Robin, on. So today, I even made notes today because I have, I want to share with you, here's my notes on my pad right here. There they are. I want to share with you some of the most important things that we can discover, learn, or have to create all kinds of, everybody wants to generate leads. They want to generate sales and they try to throw money at Facebook ads and they don't win. And what happens is when you build a long-term group of people, long-term, you won't have to throw these ads. You won't have to be, wondering how many people you got to churn and burn through. You want to create leads? I don't think that's the correct way to do it. And the way I have fed my business is not through leads, but connection. When you have connection with your audience, I mean, true connection with your audience, then you can start to build influence. And creating connection, that's a plan. That's a business acumen. It's how you create connection with others in the world that are going to help you have what you want to have in the future. Zig Ziglar has that. What's this? You help enough people get what they want, then you'll get what you want. This is what happens in the future. The future is about the expert. We talked about that yesterday. So if you haven't seen this yesterday's show, you want to see that one because these shows are going to build on each other. And I need to get a drink right quick. I'm not kidding when I say this. It sounds absolutely insane because it's wintertime in Colorado, but we literally have zero humidity. We've had zero humidity for the last, 3 days or so. And we're just like, somebody bring some snow or moisture or something. It's zero humidity. I've never lived in that ever, but I guess it's a thing. So anyway, when we want to build influence, we have to ask ourselves why. Why do you want to build influence and connection? Well, we discussed how the trust factor in the world is absolutely demolished right now. And influence is the only way forward. You can't move forward with your pitch fest, with your funnels and things and pitch fest without creating connection. The connection piece is not just I connect with people because I have a story. Connection is an ongoing relationship. It's an ongoing, you're building a relationship, just like you would build a marriage. Just like it, that's the thing that's going to carry you forward. And if it's done authentically, if it's done real, if it's done with heart, if it's done with intention, it will give you that 1,000 fans, true fans that we were talking about before. That 1,000 true fans, that's going to stabilize your sales and leads. And I know this because that's the process I used to build the companies I have, or etc. I build 1,000 true fans. And here's what I want to say about those 1,000 true fans. 1,000 true fans doesn't have to be unknown people. Part of your true fans can be your Dream 100 or people who are celebrities that like your product or service. Those can be fans. A fan can be anyone. They can be people with no credibility or a lot of credibility. We have 1,000 fans that were out there, 1,000 fans of your product, your service, or etc. My favorite example of that is Russell Brunson. He wanted to work with Tony Robbins. So he, built a funnel for Tony Robbins' book, and he did it for free. He just was like, I want to work with this guy. And so we offered something of value, real value, built that relationship right there. And Tony Robbins is a fan of ClickFunnels. And so when he says what's the best, software out there, it's ClickFunnels for him. So he says that you can have 1,000 true fans, and some of those fans can help you build your authority. They can help you build your influence in an industry. And we're not looking for people to give us a handout. We're not looking for people who are going to help us up because they're up and they think it's a good job to help other people up kindly. That's not how it works. That's just like some story people say. It's a value for a value exchange. The biggest number one value is your mindset. And so right now, if you look at Russell's mindset matches Tony Robbins' mindset. They're very close as to how to help the world and doing one person at a time, helping lift them up by giving them value and software and things that are going to work for them. So this is really something that's important. There is nothing in the world that is more powerful than human to human connection. There's nothing in the world that is more powerful than connecting with someone. And when you connect with them, believe it or not, you can connect in love or connect in negativity. But Maya Angelou, she said something that really made sense to me. They won't necessarily remember what you said or what you did, but they will remember how you made them feel. And so when you connect with someone and you're trying to build your authority and your influence, you have to become memorable to them. Memorable. It's not about what you're saying or how great your project is or something else. It's how do you become memorable? This is how influence is built. This is how connection is built. And when we become memorable to someone, we can start building connection. And that connection, if you know, is the most important long-term thing you can have. Now, Oprah Winfrey, of course, is probably the best example of building that connection and building that audience. And literally, she got to the point where all she had to say is, buy this book, and bam, people bought it. They bought everything she said. She didn't have to throw money at Facebook ads. But building this kind of influence and authority has a plan, a structure, and a system to it. And so I want to share with you some of the things that I really value. I value about myself and building connection with the world. Sometimes you need to be the voice of reason. That's the first thing. You have to be the voice of reason. And even when people don't want to hear it, even when people are like, okay, I want to ignore this fact that I see all these jobs being lost over here, but it's not going to affect me. I want to put my head in the sand. And you need to say your industry is probably going to be disrupted, and it's going to be disrupted by AI, or some technology. You have to be the voice of reason. And that doesn't mean you have to be pushy about it. You can be the voice of reason and be kind and gentle. And let me say that if you're the grounded voice of reason, which means if you see this coming, provide them with a solution while you see this coming and share it with them, you become the voice of reason. When you become the voice of reason, you become trusted. And you become a trusted advisor. People see you as someone they can go to and listen to and get real truth from. That is one of the most important things that you can do. You guys, I see you over there writing. Thank you so much. The next thing is, I believe that if you want to truly create connection with anybody, Your generosity of spirit and information is going to be there. So your generosity is that when you get here, you actually share the 3 tips that are going to help someone the way you did it, the way it worked for you. And you let them take the 3 tips and say, well, I don't need this one, but I need these 2 and these 2. And you generously share that. Share the best of you. Because what you're going to find underneath that best of you is that there's more best. There's more where that came from. There's always another idea. If you're open in that way and you're sharing in that way and your generosity of spirit happens, believe it or not, when it comes to purchasing stuff that is your stuff that you put out there, if you've been generous, people are generous with you. There's reciprocity that automatically happens because it's done out of divinity and intention. It's done out of love and true concern and wanting to serve humanity. That kind of thing is palpable. People feel that in the world. People can feel that and want to be with it. That's one of the most important things that we can know today. And third is creating vulnerability. Now, I've been doing this show. I'm heading up to my 400th show. It's Christmas time. The world is very sick right now, or especially in the United States. There's a lot of people sick. A lot of people are going through uncertainty, and it's scary. It's just a scary time for a lot of people. Vulnerability is the willingness to share your heart openly, warts and all, just in front of everyone, and say what's true for you, whether you're frightened or you're excited, because I have a little bit of both for me. I have a little bit of excitement and a little bit of, oh my gosh, last night I had a dream that I got COVID and it scared me so bad. Obviously, I woke up and what I could feel was the fear, the panic I felt. And I thought, when you get those ugly diagnoses, this is what it feels like. You're fearing for your life. But when I got up that morning, I realized today, in this moment, I'm well. And there by the grace of God go I. And I really want to express how you want to get your message out now. How do you get heard above the dim? How do you create connection with people? When you create connection, you've created the fan that creates the loyalty that spreads the message for you. And you're right, Karen, COVID does suck. I don't know that this will fit on the page, but I'm going to just pop it up right now. See if it does. This to me, here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs and square holes. The ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules. And they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. The only thing you can't do is ignore them because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see them as genius because the people who are crazy enough to do it usually do. I want to tell you a story that really impacted me when I was like 13 years old. And you guys know about my background. I didn't have the most exciting childhood. But what was interesting about that was I was in middle school, or 13 years old. I was in junior high, but middle school. And there was an assembly at the, gym. So the whole school got into the gym. And there was a speaker, the first speaker I ever saw public at a school. And this guy was magic. He was passionate and he was so excited. And I was riveted to what he was saying. His name was Billy Mills and he was an Olympic athlete. He was a gold medal winner, Olympian. And it's the first time I'd ever seen somebody I thought was famous. And they showed his win at the Olympics. They had this little film where he showed the win. And his topic of conversation was that you could do anything. He overcame a lot of challenges. And I was 13 and he was the first person The first person who dared to look at us and say you could do or be anything. Didn't matter if you were a girl or a boy, you could be anything, even an Olympic athlete. And that was the first time I ever heard anybody say that I could be or do anything. It was the first person that gave me permission to dream, to exceed. And I never forgot him. I was 13 and now I'm years old. And it's several decades later, and I still can remember what he said to me because he gave me that permission. That is the power of connection and getting your message out. You may want to get your message out to the masses, which you do, but you're looking for that one person who hears your message and resonates with it. And when I was 13, I opened my binder, because that's what we had back then, and I ripped out a piece of paper. And I ran up to him I just ran up to him and I had, big eyes that were, little kid eyes that were just so enamored meeting an Olympic athlete who won a gold medal. And I asked him for his autograph and he squatted down and looked at me eye to eye. And he said, what's your name? And I said, Vickie. And he wrote, Vickie, you can be anything. Billy Mills. And when I did that, I was so taken aback. I was so thrilled that when I did it, the rest of the school, everybody crowded around him. Like I was the first person who ran up and, did this here, sign this. And I was 13 years old. That magic moment is what connection is. And here's what I know. If you are a thought leader, if you're a thought leader, and that means an author, a speaker, a consultant, anybody who helps someone think differently, do differently, be differently in the world, that person, when he talked to me, people are going to remember how you made them feel. I did. I remembered him forever, that story. Vickie, you can be anything. And I just remember holding that piece of paper and being, a shy 13-year-old. But what did I repeat to myself? Vickie, you can be anything. And to this date, I have not seen him since, that 13-year-old. He was on a speaking tour after the Olympics. And one of the coolest things that I know is that I repeated that to myself. So whatever you say, whatever your message is, it's so important. It can change the life of someone for decades. That moment in time where somebody just told me once, you can be anything. Then what happens is they carry that seed with them and it starts to grow in their heart. That's how important your message is. I don't care what your message is. It could be anything, whether it's auto mechanics or sports or cooking or fitness or whatever your message is. When you get it out, you are changing the life of one person at a time. One person at a time with your message. Your message has to be said authentically, vulnerably, of course. But when you get it out there to people, you're not going to know how it affects someone. You're not going to know the ripple effects that you have for years and years and years and decades of, Vickie, you can be and do anything you want. That little seed planted at 13. Your message is more powerful than you are. Your message has more meaning to it than you even think or know about. Your message is there to change the world and transform it. Not while you're watching, did I transform them and transform them? Just recently, I had Joel Comm on the Coffee Break Show, and he was my coach. He was somebody that helped me make my first dollar on the internet, my first dollar, all the way to making 7 figures. Joel Comm helped me do that. And it wasn't until he was on that show with me where I got to tell him how he changed my life, how he changed everything about what I did. And he was like, some people need to hear that. You've changed my life because, etc. And I had an opportunity to share with him what an effect he had on me. And he didn't even really know it. I mean, he knew it from a coaching standpoint. He made my skills better. He made my business better. He did all kinds of things that made things better. But he didn't actually get to know how he changed my life. From the first dollar I earned, him and Dan Nickerson, Socrates theme, so long ago, so back, till what he does now for us. That's how important your message is. When you're out there getting your message out in the world and you know it can do good, you have an obligation to share it, an obligation to get your message out. And the three most important things you can understand about creating this is that, one, you have to be the voice of reason, authentic, not the voice of I'm right, not the voice of my way or the highway. You have to be the voice of reason, which allows for discernment to happen. You have to know that how you make them feel is more important than the actual words you're saying, because people will understand the seed you're planting in them. They'll understand that. As a thought leader or a coach or speaker or whatever you are, you have to have generosity of spirit. That means when you're doing a show or a podcast for someone else, you give your best tips away, knowing that there's more inside of you that you can get or do or be. You just know it's going to be there. Then you have to understand the power of vulnerability, saying what made a difference for you, saying your experience and sharing it with them, whether it's painful or it's inspiring. You have this opportunity to make it okay to be real, to be yourself, to be authentic in the world. That's one of the most powerful things you can have. That's one of the most powerful things you can do, is have that quality of life. It's a quality of life. So today, when I take a look at the coffee break show, I practice having and being the voice of reason, being generous of spirit, and being vulnerable as much as I can. And I'll never know what difference it makes or it doesn't, but that's not the point. The point is, part of your personal development is showing up. When you're trying to create marketing leads and sales, it's much easier to sell to people who like you, love you, know you, feel warm about you, but know that you're trustworthy. They know right away that you're trustworthy. And that's the power of connection. The last thing I want to share with you that I think is absolutely important is listening. This, I think, is always the skill that I can improve on, is listening. But when you listen, stop the conversation that happens in the back of your head where you're maybe talking about it or judging them or doing whatever you do. When you judge someone, nobody has a chance to create connection with you. When they judge you, they can't have connection with you either. They're having connection with their mind and what they're thinking. Connection comes from here. It comes from your heart. It comes from sharing that piece of you. And when you listen, and you can listen openly, you are creating connection. Connection is the how you make them feel. Connection is one of the core aspects to building influence and authority. It is absolutely imperative that you understand the number one skill set for the next decade or two is going to be influence and authority. That's going to be it. How do you build it? How do you maintain it? How do you grow it? And how do you treat it preciously? Because when you have influence and authority, it's the biggest asset you have that will take your message or your business or more leads or just profits and sales. All of that happens over and over again because you have the quality of connection with the audience and the market that you're talking to. So today, that's what I want to share with you. Tomorrow, I'm actually on this evening, I think, with the Unlock show, talking about this this next step in the ACE system, which is authority, connection, and exposure. Today, I talked about connection because we talked about authority already. And what I want to let you know is that you can be and do anything you want. Anything you want. You can grow your message and get it out there. Anything you want is open to you. And I hope you guys have a great day. That was the Coffee Break Show. Peace out. Mwah. Go get your anything done. Go get